So, hello and welcome all to this class. Wishing you all a very good morning. Everyone is in the class. So, let us begin today's class. Let us have a quick recap of what we had done in the previous class. In the previous class, we had discussed work done by force. Yes or no? I think we have done till work done by constant force. Had we discussed work done by variable force? Can you let me know? Did we discuss work done by variable force? Yes
Yes,
or no?
sir.
Yes, we had discussed work done by variable force, but I don't think did we discuss work done using force displacement graph. Did we discuss that point? Work done by force displacement graph? I don't think so, right? So in today's class, what we are going to do is we are going to discuss how do you find out work done by a force displacement graph. So that is the heading that you write, force displacement graph. You should not call it force displacement graph. You should call it force position graph. Force position graph. But maybe in your NEET exam, the question that will come will probably have force displacement graph written onto it. Doesn't matter. You must understand that it's a force position graph. Now, what will happen in this force position graph? Now, if you look very closely at the general formula of work done is integral of f dot dr. Now, as soon as you see what? As soon as you see this symbol of integration, integration means summing up. Now, if you go back 3-4 months back, we discussed integration, and in discussing integration, we understood that integration is summing up, all right, but integration simply means that it is area under a graph. Yes or no? Do we recollect this in the class? We recollect this, that integration is nothing but area, right? So basically, instead of force being given in vector form or force being given in some other form, there can be a chance, there is a high probability that you will be given a force position graph or a force displacement graph, and from that graph you are supposed to find out the work done. How do you do it? It's not rocket science. You just calculate the area and you are done. Let me take an example here. This is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. Remember, now what they are going to do is sometimes they are going to, what should I say, puzzle you, and they will probably plot force on the x-axis and displacement on the y-axis. Remember, displacement has to be on the x-axis and not the other way around. So basically, displacement must be along x-axis, and they will be plotting force along the y-axis. Now, here, the example that I'm taking is for a particle which is moving in one-dimensional motion, and that is the question that you are going to see in the examination hall. So it will be a one-dimensional force. Force is along x-axis, and the particle cut displacement is also along x-axis. So instead of writing it as force, I will write it as fx. Fx tells us that this force is along x-axis. I hope you understand this. Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? Yes or no? We understand that I have plotted displacement or position on the x-axis and force on the y-axis. Now, if this force is a constant force, now see, if this force is a constant force, the graph would be a straight line like this. The graph would be a straight line like this. It can start from x equal to 0. It may not start from x equal to 0. The graph would be a straight line like this. Here, the position, or people will say displacement will be x1. Here, the displacement or position would be x2. Here, force would be constant, so it will not change. It will be simply equal to f. Let us say f. If now I ask you, what is the work done by this force? Remember, this is a constant force. The answer would be, sir, it is very simple. the work done by this force is simply area under this graph, and any fourth standard student can tell you what will be the area. It's a rectangle, length multiplied by breadth. Length, you can call it x2 minus x1, breadth is f. So basically what you get is f multiplied by x2 minus x1. And if you look very closely, very keenly, you will understand that this x2 minus x1 beta, this x2 minus x1 beta is nothing but, it is your what? What is this x2 minus x1? Anyone in the class? Remember, this is not a displacement position. This is not a force displacement graph. This is a force position graph. That is the right term that I should use. So what is x2 minus x1 then? Anyone? No one in the class can tell me what is x2 minus x1? No one knows what is x2 minus x1? x2 is the final position. x1 is the initial position. So what is x2 minus x1? No one? x2 minus x1 is simply your displacement. So basically what we are doing, when the force is constant, it is simply force multiplied by displacement. For a constant force, remember, for a constant force, work done by a constant force is simply F dot delta R. This is the work done by a constant force. And as you can see from the area under this graph, it is simply F into delta R, F multiplied by the change in position, which is your displacement. But remember, there is a very important thing that you must see here is this dot, is this simple dot. I hope you can see this dot, is this simple dot. Now this dot or the dot product gets cos theta into the picture. And when cos theta comes into the picture, that makes your work done positive or negative. That dot or the cos theta makes your work done positive or negative. Now, how do we understand from the graph whether the work done is positive? Because there is no dot product here. I don't see a dot product, I just see a graph. Graph has got nothing to do with a dot product. So my question here is, how do I understand whether the work done is positive or whether the work done is negative? Can anyone tell me? This dot product is lost somewhere. The formula is F dot delta R for a constant force, but this dot product significance is cos theta. That cos theta is lost somewhere. How do I get that cos theta? How do I get that positive, negative into the picture? Can anyone tell me how do I get that positive, negative into the picture? So that means what I'm asking you is, how do I find out whether this area is positive or this area is negative? How do I find out whether this area is positive or this area is negative? Anyone has an answer? Please raise your hands. Anyone has an answer? Please raise your hands. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to get my question? Online class. Oh, I have new participants in the online class. Dilip, Bhagyavati, Abhiram, do you understand the question? I have some message here. You understand the question, but what is the answer for that question? Anyone? How will I know whether the area is positive or negative for this area? How do I find out? Okay, I'm not getting any answer, so probably I'll have to do it on my own. So the way we understand this is by this simple thing: x-axis, y-axis, x, y, minus x, minus y. Here I'm assuming that I have plotted position on the x-axis. So as you can see, does not take rocket science. If the area is in the first quadrant, both are positive. It's positive. Force and displacement both are positive. That means they are in the same direction. So the area will be positive. If I come to the second quadrant, force, which is on the y-axis, is positive, but displacement is negative. Positive multiplied by negative, your answer would be negative. I hope you understand this. When I come into the third quadrant, force is also negative, displacement is also negative. So they are in the same direction, in the opposite direction. So again, it is positive. The fourth quadrant, force is negative, displacement is positive. So the answer is negative. That will give me the sign of this area, and that is what brings that cos theta into the picture. Am I clear with this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? In the class, no one understands? Okay, only one student understands it. What about the others? Okay, 2 or 3 are there. Great. Rest of them are writing. So that is how I understand whether the area is positive, work done is positive, or work done is negative. I gave you an example of a force which was constant. Now, let us take the simplest example of a force which is not constant, but which is variable. And again, you see, once you have the graph, things become a lot easy because you don't have to do integration. You just need to calculate the area. For example, the most likely candidate that you will get for a variable force would be something like this. The force varies like this. This is x is equal to 0. This is x is equal to x. Here the force is equal to F. Now, if I ask you, this is not a constant force because it is varying with displacement or varying with position. How will I find the work done by this force? Well, you can do it by integration, but you don't have to use integration. It's a simple triangle. You just need to find out the area of this triangle. And the area of this triangle is pretty simple. How much is the area? No one knows the area? No one in the class knows the area? That is
Half
not
into base into height, sir.
okay. Half into base into height. So someone knows it, right? Half base is f. No, base is not f. Height is f, and base is x. So half fx. You can see here I'm getting the answer as half fx. But in the previous case, I was getting the answer as x into f into delta x. Here x is actually delta x, but I'm getting half. Why I'm getting half? Because this force is not a constant force. It is a variable force, and therefore I get the term as half because it depends on how the force is varying. Is this area going to be positive or negative? Can I have your answers on that? Should I treat this area as positive or should I treat this area as negative? Is the work done by this force positive or is the work done by this force negative? That is the question. Online, I hope everyone is awake. It's already 10 o'clock. No one knows this area is positive or negative? This area has to be positive because it lies in the first quadrant. Both the force and your position or displacement is positive, and hence your answer is positive. So this is how we understand work done by a force by using area under the graph. I hope you have noted this down. If you have noted this down, then probably we will move on to the first question. I'm waiting for you guys to write this down so that I can move forward. I hope you have noted it down now. Okay. So here comes your next question, and you have 2 minutes to solve this. Now, you are given a graph between fx and x. Values are given. You have to find out the work done by this force from x equal to 0 to x equal to 8. Your 3 minutes starts now. Okay, do we have answers here? Anyone got the answer? Abhiram has got an answer. Abhiram, what's the answer, beta? What's the answer? Okay, so basically what you got to do is calculate some areas. Simple maths you have to apply. This is the first one. Let me color it as green. What is the area of this? Number one, half base into height. Base is 2. Half into 2 into 4. So the answer will be 4, and this would be positive plus 4 units. Let us call it as joule. Let us write force in newtons and x in meters. So the answer will be in joules. So this is plus 4. I got the answer to the first one, plus 4. What about the next one? Let me color it with this one so that it looks different. The area of this one, number 2, is a rectangle. Length into breadth. Length is 2, breadth is 4. 2 into 4. So I think the answer would be 8 plus 8. The third one, I would color it as black. Again, this is a triangle. The area for this triangle is half base into height, half into 1 into 4. So I think the answer would be plus 2. Force and displacement both are positive, so it is plus 2. The last one that remains is this one. The rectangle I have colored it with red. And the answer to this one, the fourth one, is length into breadth minus 5 into 3. So 5 into 3, so 15. And this would be minus. So that is your area. You add all these. 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 minus 15. So my answer is minus 1 joules. That is the answer that we got. Do we understand this, everyone? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? Everyone got this answer? Yes or no? Now that is as difficult a question that you are supposed to get in your NEET exam. You are not supposed to get anything more difficult than this. So that is the answer. I hope everyone got it. So I'll give you one more question. As Abhiram said, sir, give one more question. So I'll give you one more question. In any ways, I was giving you one more question. Now the question goes like this. I hope you are noting down the answer to the previous one. X, Fx. I'll just, meanwhile, you are completing the answer. I'm just drawing the next question. So here I have the next question for you. Minus 4, minus 1. This is plus 1. This is plus 2. This is minus 2. Everything is in SI units. This is minus 1. This is 0. This is 2. And this is 3. Everything is in SI units. Obviously, this force is changing. Sometimes it is constant and it changes, then it becomes something else. See, the only idea is to understand how do you find it out, nothing else. I could have made a triangle. In this case, I must tell you, in question number 1, I have broken this upper wala figure into 3, 2 triangles and 1 rectangles. You may not have done this. This is a simple trapezium, yes or no? This entire thing is the trapezium. You can simply find the area of that trapezium. Half into sum of parallel sides into the distance between the parallel sides. You can find out the area using that. You will get the same answer. It just depends on how you want to solve it. Area of trapezium, I hope you understand the formula for area of trapezium. You could have done it by area of trapezium as well. Anyways, coming back to the question, 2 minutes starts now. I'll give you 1 more minute. Anyone got any answer? One more minute. Okay, let me now do it for all of you. Let us first do the first one, the green one, area number 1. What is the area of this? Length into breadth, 4 into 2. Answer is 8. Now you have to find out whether it is positive or negative. Simple. It lies in the third quadrant. Force and displacement both are negative. So this has to be positive. I hope all of us have understood this. Let us come on to the second one, which I will color as black. The second one, what is the area of this one? Again, I've made rectangles. I could have made a triangle, doesn't matter. 1 into 1, answer is 1. Force is positive, displacement is negative. Third quadrant, it becomes -1. I hope everyone is following this. Can I have some reason that we are following this in the class? Okay. The third one I'm coloring as red. What is the area of this one? 2 into 2, 4. It is in the first quadrant, so it happens to be +4. No questions asked, no answers given. Move on to the fourth one. I'm coloring it as orange or whatever color it is. 3 multiplied by 1. So 3. It lies in the fourth quadrant. So -3. So -3 is the answer for this. +4 is the answer for this. You can add, subtract, and you will get the final answer. I think the final answer would be +8. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? How I have achieved? Yes, Abhiram, 8 joules is the answer. How I have found out the area and how I have taken them to be positive or negative. If anyone has any doubts, please raise it now. I'll give you 2 minutes. Think about the question. If you have any doubts, please raise me and note down the answers. Well, I hope everyone has noted it down and we have understood. Anyone with any doubt, please ask. Online class, can I have some raise hand if you understand this? Great. Offline, do we understand this better? If you don't understand this, please ask. Please feel free to ask. You have the mic, you can use the mic and you can ask any doubts. I'm waiting for your doubt if you have any. I hope I have not done a calculation mistake. In the last class, I did it. I hope I have not done it now. Yes, I have done it. I think here it was, I think I've done a calculation mistake. I am bound to make calculation mistake. That is, this is -4 and this is -1. So it is 3. The breadth is 3. 3 multiplied by 2, it should be 6 and not 8. So I made a mistake probably. Maybe that got you confused.
Sir, also between 2 and 3, sir.
Between 2 and 3, I also made a mistake. Yes. I am bound to make mistakes like this. I don't know why I make mistakes like this. So what is the answer for this one?
Sir, total answer will be -4.
Tell me the answer for this one. This is -1, right? This is
It
-1,
will be
correct?
-1, sir.
This will be -1. So -1 and -1 is -2. The answer is 8, right? Plus 8, isn't it? Plus 6 plus 4 -2. So it is plus 8. Am I correct? This is -1. This is +1. This is -1. So it's -2. This is +4. And this is +6. So our answer would be +8. Am I correct?
Sir, it's -6 now, sir.
It's not -6, it's +6, beta. It's in the
No, sir, between -1 and -4, it will be -3.
yeah. So -3 multiplied by 2.
It will be +3 now, sir. +3 into -2.
Do you remember this? What I told you here? Yes or no? Do we remember this or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So in which quadrant that area lies? In which quadrant it lies, beta? It should not be so hard to understand. It's hard for you to understand which quadrant it lies. I like it.
Second quadrant.
This area lies in the third quadrant.
Third quadrant.
This area lies in the second quadrant. This area lies in the first quadrant. And this lies in the fourth quadrant. Am I clear? Is it so confusing? Is it so confusing for you to understand it? Don't say -4 -1 is +3 or -3. It's not like that. Look at the quadrant. Am I clear? Length of anything is never negative. If you are calling this length as -2, you are the most, what should I say, person on this planet. Length is never negative. I'm finding out the areas. Areas are always positive. The only problem here is there's a dot product, and the dot product gives it positive or negative. And for that dot product, I've given you the concept that if the area lies in the first quadrant, I will take it as positive. If the area lies in the second quadrant, I will take it as negative. If the area lies in the third quadrant, positive, and area lies in the fourth quadrant is negative. Lengths are never, ever negative. Do we understand this now? Loud and clear. Yes or no? So the length of this side is 3. It's never -3. The length of this side is 2. It cannot be -1. Length cannot be negative. So the area is 6. Now I give it plus or minus. I don't give it plus or minus by your length because I don't know how you understand length. Length cannot be negative, beta. Please don't tell me that the length is negative. Length is always positive. Please don't take length as negative. That is an absolutely wrong concept. Am I clear? So all areas are always positive. I'm making it positive and negative because of the dot product. And to understand that dot product, I have given you the concept that if the area lies in the first quadrant, it is positive. Second quadrant, it is negative. Third quadrant, it is positive. And fourth quadrant, it is negative. Can I have some raised hand that we understand this? Great. I hope that you don't make the same mistake. Never take areas by negative length beta. That is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Remember this for the rest of your lives. Areas are always positive. You make it negative just because you have to adjust something else. Here I have adjusted. Here I have adjusted what? Here I have made area positive or negative because there is, there is this dot, this dot, this dot makes the area positive or negative. Otherwise, it is not positive or negative. Okay. Chalo. Are we convinced with this, or shall I give you one more question for you to understand this? Shall I give you one more question, or it is good enough? Tell me. I can give you one more, not a problem. Do you want one more question to practice, or is it good enough?
One more question, sir.
Okay, I'll give you one more question. That is not a problem. I'll give you one more. This one. Question number 3. I hope you are noting it down as well. How should I vary force? Okay, let me make it enterprising. It goes like this, tung tung tung. Then it goes like this, tung tung tung. Then it goes like this, tung tung tung. Then it goes like this, tung tung tung. Okay. This is force along x. This is x. This is negative fx, obviously. This is negative of x. Whatever you call it. Let me call this as -4. Let me call this as -2. Let me call this as 1. Let me call this as 2. This is -1 because it's on the downward side. Remember what I'm saying. This is 1 and this thing is 3. This is also, the height is also -1. So I hope you understand. Forces are either it is +2 or it is -1, like this. And then we have some variables, then we have some triangles, nothing. The main concept is that you understand what you're doing and you don't make stupid mistakes. You calculate the area correctly. I make mistakes. 2 minutes to solve this. Areas are always positive. Remember that, because areas are multiplication of lengths. Volumes are always positive. Multiplication of lengths, they cannot be negative. 2 minutes. Anyone got any answer? Remember, areas are always positive. We are making positive and negative because there is a dot product there. That's the entire reason. Be careful, don't make mistakes. You might not get a question like this because I have never seen a question like this where the area is coming in the second or the third quadrant. I have not seen questions of that nature. Basically, first or fourth quadrant is where the question will come, but if it gets to the third and second quadrant, you must be able to do it. That is the entire concept. I hope you have got your answers. Let us begin. Let us try to calculate this area. Half base into height. Let me not make a mistake. So base is 2. Height is also 2. 2 into 2, 4. 4 divided by 2. So answer is 2. Now I have to understand whether it is positive or negative. Anyone, positive or negative? Give me the answer. I will not tell you. Positive or negative?
Negative, sir.
Why?
It lies in the second quadrant.
It's not because one length is negative and the other length is positive. No, it's not because of that. It's because length cannot be positive, length cannot be negative. Lengths are always positive. But this lies in the second quadrant and we have to think about the quadrant. Great. -2. Let us now move on to the next one, which is this area. Let me not make a mistake. So one side is 1, the other side is 2. It is 2. Whether it's positive or negative?
Positive.
Why?
It lies in the third quadrant.
Third quadrant. That is the reason why. Good. Let us now move on to the third one. This one, the orange one. One side is 2, the other side is 1. So answer is 2 plus or minus. This will not be a problem. This will be definitely plus
Positive.
because it lies in the first quadrant. Great. Come on, let us move on to the last one. This one. Base is 2, height is 1, half base into height, half 2 into 1. So answer is, I think, 1. Price plus or minus?
Minus.
Minus, because it lies in the fourth quadrant. Now you can add them, subtract them, and whatever. Plus 2 answer will be, I think, +1. The total work done is +1. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? Okay, that is great. If you've understood this, this is the most difficult question that you can ever get in the most difficult paper of NEET ever made up till now. Let us move ahead. I hope you are noting it down. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Now, what we are going to do is write some important points about work done. Now, these points are very important for you to understand the basic concept of work done. And this would be coming in your exam probably in terms of what they call theoretical questions or
Sir, once can you please show the previous slide?
this will be coming in your exams more like theoretical questions. So we'll discuss that. I'll give you a minute. You can note this down. Once you are done, please let me know. First quadrant, area is positive. Second quadrant, area is negative. Third quadrant, area is positive. And fourth quadrant, area is negative. You've switched on the camera, switched off the camera is gone. Anyways, I hope there is something wrong. Have you noted it down? Shall I move forward? Okay. Have you noted down the previous slide? I think everyone is still solving the last question. So I will just stay on that. If you have any problems, beta, you can ask. Not a problem. I will repeat the same thing 10 times unless you are very confident about it. I can give you one more question on this if you are still not feeling confident about it. Because if a question comes from work done, it's more likely that it will be a question on graphs. That is why I have done this question. Because I feel that if a question comes, it would be from graphs. That's my honest feeling, gut feeling, call it. And my gut feeling works. So if you have still have doubts, I can give you one more question, not a problem. Shall I give you one more? Or shall we move forward?
Understood, sir.
Okay. I hope you have noted it down as well.
Yes,
Noted
sir.
it down. We will move on, and again, while we are writing all these important points, this is a sort of a revision for what we have done up till now and what you should always keep in your head while you are dealing with work done. The first thing and the most important thing is the definition of work done. Definition of work done, delta W, and I have still not told you what is delta. Why is delta used? I am going to tell you now. Work done is integral of f dot ds. We all know this. This is the most basic definition of work done, and it is valid for all forces. Valid for all forces, whether these forces are constant, variable. There will be other types of forces also that are going to come, conservative, non-conservative, everything. This formula is valid for all forces. Point number 2, I'll elaborate more on this. Delta W can be written as integral of fx dx. I hope you remember this. We had taken the dot product fx dx plus fy dy. This is just, oops, this is just fz dz. This is just a revision of what we have already done. Again, this formula is also valid for all forces because this formula has been derived from the first one. Point number 3, delta W can be written as F dot delta R. But remember, whenever I'm writing this formula here like this, it now is not general formula. It is valid only for constant force. Remember this. This formula is only valid for a constant force. I hope you have noted this down. Can I move further ahead? Okay, I'll give you time to note it down. I see students noting it down. Note it. Remember, your notes are your first line of defense. Whenever you are doing revision and I am not a very big fan of revision. Why I'm not a big fan of revision? Because right now, while you are preparing for your next Sunday's test, the course is very less. You can always revise. But think of a day when you are going to appear for your NEET exams. Entire course for 11, 10, 12, 8, 9, 10 included will come in physics, chemistry, and biology. How will you revise it? You will not revise it. You cannot revise it. So, revision is all about human mentality and human psychology. You don't need revision, everything is in your head. By revision, you mean, okay, you just have a quick look to the formula. Okay, that is okay. But if you want to have a quick look at those formulae, you should have that formulae. You should have those written in your own language, in your own writing. Then it becomes easier to have a look through. So I'm not a very good fan of revision, but you have to make good notes. So if you want to revise it, if you want to have a look, you can always have a look. At the last day, if you're opening a test book, you're all gone. Because test book will not tell you anything. In physics, I'm talking, not of other subjects. Talking about in physics. Make your notes. If you have to revise it, you'll revise it with your notes, and forget this concept of revision. This is the not a good concept to remember. You should be prepared for test at all times, and you should be prepared for test for all your course at all times. If you can do that, you are ready for the exam. So try not to revise. And if you have to revise, you have to do it in half an hour, 1 hour. 1 hour is the most time that you can get for a revision, because you have to revise the entire course for your NEET. Remember for that day, imagine that day, and then you revise. Right now, you have enough time. Okay. Fourth, point number 4. Now, whatever points I'm giving you, pointer that I'm giving you, you will not find it in any book, any note, even the notes that I've sent you will not find it there. That is why you come to the class, right? Now, remember this. Now, while we are talking about this force, we are talking about this displacement, delta R. Whether you call it dr, integral of f dot dr, or you call it delta R, displacement. Now, there is a thing that you must remember about the displacement. Now, if the body is moving as one body, now that might confuse you. If all particle, if a body is moving on one body, that is all particles, all, I should say, all points on the body, all points on the body have same displacement, then work done will be F dot delta R. I'm talking about constant force. You can also write it for variable force. And this delta R is the same delta R, which is the displacement of the entire body. Now you might see, sir, what you are trying to confuse us. I'm not confusing us, because I want to bring this point, and that is why I'm telling you all this. What I mean to say is, up till now, what we have done is we had a body of mass m always. We applied a force on the body F, and we moved the body. And we move the body. Now, look at what I want to say. Let us say, now this body, let us say this pen is moving up and down. Now, while this pen is moving up and down, I call this motion translational. All the particles of this pen are having same displacement. In this body, if I say this is point number 1 and this is point number 2, now remember, in a chapter known as center of mass and rotation, all particles will not have the same motion. They will have different motions. This particle point 1 and point 2, if I say that particle 1 is here 1 dash, point 2 is here 2 dash. If I say that 1.1 has a displacement delta r, it's very simple to understand that point 2 will also have the same displacement delta r. All the complete body is moving as one unit. This mobile phone has a lot of particles into it, infinite number of particles. But while I'm moving it like this, all the particles, they have the same displacement. Now you will wonder, sir, can it happen that different particles of the same body have different displacements? They have different motions? Yes. Yes. Take a simple example. This pencil. I'm going to throw this pencil up. Throw this pencil up. Throw this pencil up. Now, while this pencil is going up, it is going like this. While this pencil is going up, this pencil is going like this. Now, if you imagine a particle here on this pencil, while this pencil is going up, it has a very different motion to the center of the pencil. The center of the pencil is going up and down. But this point is also going up and down, but it is also moving. It's also rotating. So if the motion is simple, and this simple motion is known as translational motion, which is what we are studying now. And I think Sanjay sir will be taking the rotational motion, where the things are going to move in different ways. If the particle, if the body, if the all particles are moving as one unit, all displacements are same. Now, there is a very important point here, which I'm going to mark with green, this point. This green point, and this green point we will discuss more in the next class, because I think the time for this class is gone. This green point, I call this green point as point, I don't call it, it is point of application of force. This is the point where I have applied the force. Now, if you look at the displacement of this point, in this case, it is also equal to delta r. The point that I wanted to make is this delta r that I use in the formula for force, it is not the displacement of the body. It is not the displacement of any particular particle of the body. This delta r is the displacement of point of application of force. So everywhere where a particle, a body is moving, you don't have to see the motion of the body, you have to see the motion of that point where you have applied the force, and you have to use the displacement of that point in the formula for work done. In the formula for work done, displacement is the displacement of the point of application of force. But up till now, whatever questions we have done, the complete body was moving as one unit. So all the particles, including your point of application of force, they were having same displacement. But if I give you an example of this pencil, and I throw it up, and it goes like this, dung 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 dung. Dung 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 dung. If it moves like this, if it goes like this, and there is a force acting on this body, that force is the force of gravity. Now this gravity wala force, I'm going further ahead in the topic, this gravity wala force will be acting at the center of this pen. Now if someone tells you what is the work done by gravity on this body, you don't have to look at the motion of this point. No, you don't have to look at the motion of this point. No, you don't have to look at the motion of this point. No, you only have to look at the motion of that point where gravity is acting, and you find out how much is the displacement of that point, and you get the work done by gravity, or the work done by any force. Work done by any force, you have to find the displacement of the point of application of force. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? So this is point number 4. There are 4 or 5 more points which we shall discuss in the next class. I hope you have understood this class. I will make a PDF of this notes and send it to you on your WhatsApp, on your Telegram group. You can download it from there. Probably I'll ask the office personnel to give you a printout of that notes so that you can have it and keep them forever. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Else, in the next class, we will move ahead from this point onwards, from point number 4 or 5 onwards. In point number 4, we discussed the displacement of the point of application of force. I gave you example where all the particles have same displacement. I also give you an example of a body which has different displacement for different particles, but this is not the question that we are going to solve because this is in rotation. I'll give you another example of a body where different particles have different displacements, and then we will try to find out why this entire conversation came into the picture first of all. So we'll do that in the next class. Till then, have a good day. I hope you enjoyed it. Any doubts? I'm here. You can ask now. Take care. Bye-bye.